extraordinaire, the gemologist.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geomologist Presents. It's been a minute. I last put out a show last Saturday at the end of RPGaDay 2024, and here I am trying to now catch up and give you some feedback on the call-ins that I've received during the month. I didn't put a call-in thing together during the month. Maybe I did. I don't honestly remember. I've been focusing a lot on the YouTube stuff and playing a lot of games, and we recorded them and trying to get them out at least a couple a week. I've been doing the What's in the Box segment to open a box and check out the contents, maybe review it. I thought it was a really good review that I did with BJ Boyd of the Arcane Alienist for Maqueedle. I did an interview with Joe Salvador, and we did character creation and some rules talk for his upcoming Reaver Kickstarter, which should be starting next week. This is September 8th, so as this comes out in this next week or so. So I got call-ins from Mirke the Meek, from Jason Connerly, and from Joe Richter. And I'll take them in the order that I received them and maybe comment in between here and there after them. And first up, Mirke the Meek. And he's commenting actually on the show that came a while ago. I think it was actually a show that was published in July.
Hey, Carl, it seems like you got hacked. It's a good thing you had a nice hacker that got into your account, and all they did was post an episode about family. But you got to be careful with that. You should probably invest in like a good password manager and two-factor authentication and whatnot, so that it doesn't happen again. But in all seriousness, I haven't finished the family episode, but I enjoyed that take on things. I appreciate being able to play all kinds of games with my family. Not so much RPGs with my wife, but we do a lot of board games and card games together. And then being able to play RPGs with my girls. Yeah, definitely love playing games with family and friends. Thanks for that. Also, enjoying the RPGaDay stuff, so thanks for that as well. And I will talk to you later. Take care.
Thank you so much for the call, Mirke. Password protection, two-factor authentication. I hate that stuff, honestly. And what comes to mind is the cover of Suicidal Tendencies Institutionalized by Ice-T, where one of his verses is talking about and going through that you can't remember your password, and then they need your PIN number. And oh, yeah, it's awful. I hate it. I think it's a false sense of security. If someone wants to get into your stuff, they'll get into your stuff. Two-factor authentication be damned. At least that's how I feel about it. But it's okay. I mean, I think probably Amy just borrowed my password. Or maybe I let her record, or she is recording because I was studying for something. Anyway, yes, gaming with family is really fun. I definitely, gaming with Amy has been extremely fun and rewarding. We play, and she's willing to play any game, whether she likes the rule system or not. On the YouTube channel, she's in a lot of the games, and she's excited enough to produce the YouTube stuff. So yeah, those of you who are listening, if you haven't subscribed, just please subscribe. You don't have to listen to it. Just subscribe. You can listen to the podcast there on the YouTubes or on whatever podcatcher you like. I mean, with the podcast on the YouTube, it's just my voice. It's no video or anything. Though I'm not going to repeat, like if I do an unboxing, I want to do the unboxing on the podcast, I'll just do it on the YouTube channel as a video. So you could just listen to it in the background or whatever. But I maybe have visuals sometimes if I remember. So yeah, so gaming with family, it's important. I think it's really great, Mirke, that you play with the next generation. You play with your daughters, and I really love it when I hear people playing and introducing Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games to their children. I think it's really cool. So yeah, I guess I have a nephew somewhere. He's into comic books, I hear. He's actually a music producer. Maybe he's into gaming. Who knows? If he likes comic books, it's not an easy transition, or it's an easy transition, or it's not a stretch to think that he might be into some sort of gaming, or at least video gaming, right? So pretty cool stuff. So, right, the next 3 or 4 calls, 3 of them by Jason Connerly, were ones that arose during the week, the month of RPGaDay. And if there's something poignant, I will pause after or stop after the message and reply. I think anyway, Jason has something important to say, right? So yeah, I'm sure there's questions or comments within the breadth of his messages. So I will probably stop after each one and comment. Again, thanks for the call, Mirke the Meek.
Hey Carl, Jason here. Really enjoy your RPGaDay entries. I'm sure you'll catch up. You're doing fine. Don't fret over it. Some of this stuff is kind of tough. I did that panel discussion, which is kind of an easy way to answer it because I got a bunch of people to help me answer the questions together. But I've also been doing it over my blog, putting out a daily entry for the prompts over on my blog. But I appreciate the shout out. Thank you. And, I've been enjoying all the stuff that you've been doing. I just haven't been calling into shows as much, so sorry about that. But keep up the great work. Thank you, and I will talk to you soon.
Hey, man, thank you for taking the time to call in to my show. Yeah, I feel like the prompts this year were kind of tough, but that also means if they were tough, it made you think a little more, especially the ones about, who you'd play with, who you miss playing with, that type of thing. Some of them I feel like were a little repetitive. I feel like a gadget, an accessory, and a screen is like the same thing. But it is what it is. Or dice. Dice are kind of gadgets and accessories, or are they accessories? I don't know. Maybe, but the cool thing about it is that Autocratic and Runeslinger said, yeah, just use the prompts and say whatever you're inspired to say, which is always the great thing about the RPGaDay. And I really did enjoy the panel discussion that you had. It did give me a lot of food for thought, and I kind of responded a few times to some of the prompts that you guys answered on that panel. So yeah, so take a look at that that podcast by Jason Connerly that he did back at the beginning of August. And that one is Season 2, Episode 6, #RPGaDay 2024 panel discussion, published on actually July 23rd, 2024. So go check that out if you haven't already, because you probably have if you listen to this podcast. You probably listen to Connerly's as well. So yeah, on to the next call then, Jason.
By the way, Carl, I forgot to say, but I meant to, that great shout out to the DCC community for a great RPG community. Very welcoming. They're always out there at cons. They're always out there working hard. Joe Goodman and all of his people do a wonderful job, and the road crew and all the fans of the game. That community that's built up around that game. I remember when that game, before it actually launched, when you could just get that, beta version of it. And they've always been super positive and super great community. So great shout out there.
Is a fantastic reminder. Yeah, I really like DCC and interacting with the DCC community, which also means DCC adjacent games like MCC, like Weird Frontiers, and other games that use the DCC system. I really would like. So I mean, DCC, right? It has a set 10 levels, right? And it would be really fun to go through 0 through 10th level sort of mini campaign, or maybe even just a shorter campaign. Like I have the Chained Coffin, for example. I have the Lankmar stuff. I have the Purple Planet stuff, and it would be really neat to kind of go through those that kind of mini campaign, or even like a short MCC campaign. Either using a few of the modules that they have, or just make something up. put together using Kevin Crawford's Dust, a little world hex crawl thing, and then hex crawl for a few levels and see where it goes, or maybe have a story in mind, but the players can take their time to get there. I think that's probably a good idea. Yeah, I really, really miss DCC and playing that. I do enjoy it. And maybe one of these days, when we retire, we'll be able to play something like that. Or I'll try. I mean, I have to put it in the queue, and not for the home group. I don't think they would necessarily jive with it, but definitely for the online group as well. And then I should mention too that the Audio Dungeon Discord is a great community, and I'm really glad. I guess I'm a part of it. I mean, I'm on the Discord, and I joined way back, close to when it was first started, maybe. I don't know, but it was something that Jason Hobbs and Joe Lucario and Corey Maza and Eric Hoffman, Paul Wolf put together, and it's still there, and it's really cool, and it's a great community, and yeah, I'm glad I met all of you. All right, I think Jason has one more call.
Hey, Carl, Jason here. The reason for the speak pipe, I think, is one, it's not hyperlinked, and two, there's a period after it. So if you just copy it, it errors out. So maybe take the period off the show notes and maybe hyperlink it. I don't know, because it's a pain in the butt when you're driving 70 miles an hour to copy, paste, and modify the URL to call in. I really enjoyed hearing your players talk about the Warhammer Enemy Within campaign. Thank you for interviewing them. Thank you to them for being willing to talk about it. And I'm enjoying your RPGaDay. Some great memories there of great games in the past. Someday we'll all retire and have time to play. But keep up the great work, and I'll talk to you soon.
You, Jason, for that last call, and it was really cool to get my gaming group, the home group, as I call them, on to talk about the enemy within. And this probably gives me an excuse to talk about the state of play and what's going on in the games that I run. I just put up, or I'm trying to put up and be consistent about putting up sort of the calendar for the week on my channel on the GM's Lab. Maybe I should put, I don't know. If you're interested in joining and you haven't joined already and you listen to the show, send me a DM and I'll send you an invite. But in any case, so this week is the busy week where I have Traveler, Twilight 2000, Hyperborea, the Thursday gaming group with the home group. And then Friday, we've been trying to do like Friday Night Horror. And the opposite Fridays is either a break or we do some one shot type of thing. So this week, we're going to try to finish Secrets of Marseille that I'm running with the Kings of Chicago Secrets of Marseille book from the 6th edition Call of Cthulhu. It's an older book, and I'm running it using Pulp Cthulhu, and I have a few players, so that should be pretty fun. Right now, they're in Marseille. They've met this mysterious woman of whom a picture was found on a man who was killed on the streets of Chicago. Frenchman, actually Corsican, they've learned. So that should continue on Friday. Well, there, I gave you the state of play for the Friday Night Horror. I guess Friday Night Horror also includes Pendragon, if that comes up, if it's have the right sort of players. Or maybe that's Saturday morning. I don't know. It's something that we came up with and kind of did on the fly, and we've been able to do 2 really cool sessions of that. Those are coming out on the YouTube. And the other thing I kind of did, I guess I'm just talking about one-shots right now instead of state of play, but I guess I'm looking at the calendar and looking at Friday and Saturday. So that's the thing. On Saturday, actually this last Saturday, I actually ran D&D 5e, and also with, of course, modifications from the Tasha's book and the Xanatar's book and the Morden Kanan's book, and I made the characters kind of anthropomorphic heroes of creatures you would find in a title pool, and the inspiration is from the video game that I was watching a stream of called Another Crab's Treasure, and that was kind of fun, and as Amy would say, cute. And I had a good time with first level D&D 5e characters. So those are things that might happen or might not happen. But now I will talk about sort of the regular games and the regular groups that go on in my life and on the YouTubes. They eventually come out. And not all of them are recorded. I might record the Hyperborea. I talk to people. I don't know if they want to be recorded or not. I haven't asked all of them. So I need to do that. And Traveler, we haven't recorded. So the Traveler game has been going on for quite a while. I think it will be almost 2 years at the end of this year. We started like January of 2023, I believe. And it's been really cool. I really enjoyed the Traveler game. There's sort of an adventure I kind of want to run, but I'm letting the characters kind of explore the verse and kind of land in a port and see if adventure happens or not. That's kind of what we're doing. We're finishing up sort of what I call the action aboard the King Richard, and the player characters solved the murder mystery aboard the King Richard the last time around, and now they're back on this frickin' ship, according to one of the player characters, and they gotta rescue them. The ship's been taken over by pirates and mutineers, and of course the PCs, being the big damn heroes, gotta go there and knock in some heads and save the ship, or I don't know. Hopefully they don't die trying, or whatever. But if we realize that Traveler combat is pretty grim and dirty, the last time around, the player characters, when they landed, they did an exfiltration from their ship that got really close and dove off, a la Expanse style. Got through the airlock. Saw some stuff going on in the airlock because there were some delays and complications. So I had an event occur, and they saw a firefight between one of the crewmen and some of the quote unquote pirate forces. I guess they're pirates. I don't need to quote unquote them. They're pirates that have tried to take over the ship. There was a short firefight complete with grenades and point blank shooting with submachine guns. It was one of the NPCs got taken down, but fortunately there was a doctor in the group, and he was able to patch him up, get him on his feet again. Whether he will continue, who knows? And now they got to go travel to engineering and try to take that over, and hopefully be able to take over the ship. They were able to take over the ship from engineering, but maybe not. Maybe the bad guys have figured out a way to stop that possibility. So the next game is on Tuesdays. I play Twilight 2000, and that's been going for a while. I think we're on our 4th year now of Twilight 2000. It started as a birthday game 4 years back, and it's continued. And the survivors are now back in Krakow. They have a sort of I would say a company-sized force. Maybe it's bigger. Maybe it's a battalion-sized force now, if you count their allies, called the Free Krakow Coalition. And they're really want to help Krakow get it back on its feet. There's this thing called Operation Reset that might be able to help with that. But we will see. And I wanted to pause it a little bit, but it just hasn't happened. And it's still, pause it and pause the sort of European theater for a little bit and jump into maybe doing like Red Star, Lone Star, or something in the U.S. From one of the older first edition adventures. But yeah, I think we have to finish out this this sort of storyline, and then maybe quote unquote break for winter, and then jump over to the Red Star, Lone Star. Probably the same players. Maybe I'll get a few more, but then kind of play through that fun stuff in Texas. So in the universe in Twilight 2000, it's not quite Red Dawn. I'm talking about the 80s movie with Patrick. Is it 80s or 90s? I don't remember. Maybe it's 80s with Patrick Swayze, but Wolverines and all that. It's not quite that, but there are Russians that are occupying South Texas. So I guess that's why it's called Red Star, Lone Star. Anyway, it'd be fun to do. I kind of did like a brief thing, and it got to a good stopping point for BSer Con, one of the BSer Cons, the most recent one. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. I put the player, and I'll probably do the same thing to start with. I'll put the player characters in a Bradley, and they come from one of the political groups that is in Louisiana, or one of the. There's 3 political groups in the U.S. in the Twilight 2000 verse, and they're coming. These guys will be coming from Louisiana down Mississippi River through the Delta along the coast. But I'm going to start them. I'm not going to go through all that. I'll start them in Port Lavaca, like the adventure does, and then go from there. Give them like an M3 Bradley or something, and then that's their vehicle, and they gotta protect it and hopefully solve the troubles that are in South Texas. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm still in the Twilight 2000 verse, while the Free Krakow Coalition is cleaning up Krakow by either making friends with the mob influences or getting rid of the mob influences if they're intractable, or they seem that they won't be intractable, and trying to make Krakow a good place. It's still going to take some time. Who knows how many will be hungry or starving during the winter, but the player characters, spearheaded by Amy's character, Kasha Filipowicz, is wanting to maybe unify that sort of south central Polish region, Krakow and Silesia, Krakow area, Silesia, up through Lublin, and then they did help stabilize things in Warsaw in the Ruins of Warsaw adventure. So that's very fascinating. Wednesdays I do Hyperborea. It is opposite a Kingmaker game that we actually were able to play this past week. And we did a couple of kingdom turns just to get the kingdom caught up. I think they want to do some kingdom turns, build up the kingdom, and then go out in adventuring and stuff again, which is probably a good idea. The Hyperborea I think is a kind of a West Marches. I think they have some goals in mind. Maybe there's rumors that happen. I know I was going to incorporate events a la Red Tide and an Echo Resounding from Kevin Crawford. I used to do this in Broken Lands, where I'd have a dice mechanic where I roll a dice and see if there's an event. And then there's a couple events that have been quote unquote triggered in the course of the campaign play. So the premise is that the player characters are adventurers that the Fort Thunder is an Amazon outpost between where the Amazons live, and Cromarium, a big city, and they want to take over this chain of islands, starting here at Fort Thunder, and use it as a waypoint. There's probably some other designs beyond the ken of the characters, but it is what it is. The player characters have been rescued by the Amazons from slave ships, or just come from Cromarium to seek their fortune, as the Amazons have said, explore the island, help us with stuff, you get paid, you get to stay here in the fort, et cetera, et cetera. But now the fort is sort of, there's like a village where the lagoon is, Thunder Bay, actually. That's one of the player characters might have named it last time. And they kind of do go out on patrol or explore through the jungle, and they've run into a lot of things. And so there are a couple of events that through the course of play could happen. And we'll see if those are triggered. And actually, I think the players know that there are these degenerate Thracians on the island, and they live underground, and they talk about the ones that they've taken captive or liberated. Talk about this underground society, and that they're at war with beastmen. So maybe they'll find where those caverns of Thracia are. And on Thursday is a home group, and you heard about the Warhammer Fantasy last time, and then we played Bloodlords. I think I had a good, like I mentioned before, I had a good Bloodlords game, and we're getting back to that. So although the enemy within the Warhammer Fantasy is paused, and we're playing through Onslaught on Arda 4, and we finished the first chapter this past time and got into the second chapter, and actually had to stop mid-combat, unfortunately. We play at Dragon's Lair Medical Center in San Antonio, and they close at 10, so we had to pack up. But we at least finished the round, and then I took pictures, know where we're at, initiative tracker and all that kind of stuff, and then continue with that. So they're into chapter 2 of this, and this is probably season 2 of their Age of Rebellion Rebels campaign. And then after we finish this particular book set of adventures, we'll jump back into the Enemy Within with the Empire in Ruins or something like that. I think that's what it's called. What is it called? Let me see. Yes, Empire in Ruins. I can see my deluxe box set with the adventure and the companion on one of my shelves. So there you go, Jason. A really long answer to your call just to catch people up on what's going on in the gaming world. I don't know if I'd need to do like gaming play-by-plays necessarily. It'd be cool if I had the talent that M.W. Lewis has to sort of read a narrative of what happened in his game. Maybe I'll do that one of these days. Maybe with Warhammer Fantasy and the Power Behind the Throne, I could do that. But or maybe with the Pendragon. So in Pendragon, we actually did play through the first adventure in the box set, which is the year 510, the adventure of the sword tournament. And the player characters witnessed Arthur take the sword from the stone, which is not Excalibur. It is, according to Mallory, Pendragon uses Mallory as a main source. It's Clarent, the Sword of Peace. He gets Excalibur later in the tales. And they did the Battle of Carleon. Carleon, I don't know how you pronounce it. I want to say Carleone, but Carleon. And then the next time we play we did Winter Phase. The next time we play it'll be year 2, 511, and I think that one's called, what is that called? The Adventure of the Silver Deer or something like that. Anyway, yeah. Okay, on to the last call. Finally, I'm sure you love my ramblings and ums. And this last call is from Joe Richter. Thanks so much, Jason, for your calls.
Yo, Carl, what's up, dude? Congrats on finishing up with RPGaDay 2024. That was awesome, man. I was really pleased to hear that your Bloodlords game, that last session went really well, man, because, that game just sounds cool, and I hope it keeps going, dude. But yeah, man, congratulations on getting it done. That's awesome. Your segment on the players you missed was really, really touching. So thank you for sharing that. And yeah, dude, thanks for everything you do, man. I will talk to you later. Peace out.
Thank you so much for the call, Joe. And yeah, I'm really glad that we've gotten some life back into Bloodlords. I do like the premise of the campaign. The player characters are citizens of this country called Geb that is ruled by a ghost king, and it is chock full of undead, but the undead aren't just wandering around aimlessly. They're sentient. They have purpose. They're sophonts, actually. They have purpose. And, the player characters are trying to, I don't know, I think the end goal is probably, I'm sure some of the players realize this, to become Bloodlords themselves and be movers and shakers in the country. And there's definitely some machinations that are going on. They've discovered a plot by they don't know whom. They just know that some spoilers here. They discovered a plot to hurt the living creatures of Geb, maybe even kill them. For what purpose, we do not know. But it's been traced to this coven of hags, and that's what book they're in the middle of right now, book 2. So yeah, I think maybe they'll learn about the plot a little more by the end of this. They're, I think, 5th or 6th level. I think they're 6th level now. I think they're probably 6th level now. They just leveled up. And then they'll go to they should be 7th, I think, by the end of the adventure, which is kind of a high. Most campaigns kind of peter out after 3 or 4 levels. So hopefully this one, and the Abomination Vaults, I don't know if that's on, like, it's in the cold storage. They got to 6th level, so we'll see how this one goes. But I believe that they're enjoying it, the player characters. So we continue on Thursday. And yeah, I think it sucks that it'd be great if you could play forever with people. And I know it was something that's really cool. Now that you mentioned the people that I mentioned that I missed on Kevin Madison's Dungeon Musings channel, something that a quirk that the person that passed away, Mo, did was he would just talk and he was muted, and then we say, "Hey Mo, you're muted. Hey Mo, you're muted," and it'd take a couple times before he goes, "Oh, I'm muted." And so I think it's a tradition. So someone we have to say, "Hey, you're muted." Someone's talking and they're muted. We have a toast to Mo, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah. Remember those people that you used to game with that you haven't gamed with for a while, or you can't game with them because, well, they've moved on from this world. Yeah, it's pretty neat to do that and to remember Mo on the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. So I made it through RPGaDay. It was kind of tough. And you could tell because the last episode was like 8 prompts, right? So until next year, of course. And in the meantime, I'll be putting out more content. I don't know what kind of content. The content that seems to do the best is when I give recaps of the games and talk about them because I try to talk about my impressions. So I might as well do that. So Pathfinder 2, I'm enjoying playing Pathfinder 2 because of the people I play with in it, but it is not my favorite system. In fact, Joe Richter ran some Pathfinder 1 recently, and I really enjoyed it because it's so intuitive to me. Maybe because I played it for so long, and I've been playing 3 continuously, more or less, some form of D&D slash Pathfinder since when D&D 3 came out, right? So maybe that's why it's so intuitive. That was like I want to say 90s. Yeah, probably late 90s, early aughts. I will give you the exact dates, Jason Connerly. Not even early aughts, Jason. It was actually the Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition came out in 2000, 4th edition 2008, and the 5th edition in 2014. This year, 2024 Dungeons and Dragons 2024 core rule books that are compatible with 5th edition. Right, so they had after 3 years with a 3rd edition, they had a 3rd edition revised. So that's not so bad. So it's probably 5th edition revised, but they're calling it Dungeons and Dragons 2024. So pretty neat. I guess they're going the cyberpunk route, right? So Cyberpunk Red 2070 and Cyberpunk 2020 and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and I do like it. It's not so hard to whip up a game and play, and it's pretty intuitive. Not to everyone. I think some people jive more with like Call of Cthulhu percentile dice type of system, um, and the like, or something similar, or even Savage Worlds. They jive with, and that's what they like to play the most. But I don't know. I had a good time with Pathfinder 1, and I've had a good time with Hyperborea, which is sort of a retro clone, when I played AD&D First Edition and the like. So there you go. And I don't mind 5th edition so much. I wasn't a fan of 4th edition, and I feel like Pathfinder 2 has a lot of things that 4th edition tried to do but didn't market so well. Maybe um, I BJ Boyd would know better because I think he actually has looked into who the authors are and the similarities. I don't think he's done a show like that on the Arcane Alienist, but maybe he will. So maybe I can talk about games that I'd like to run. And I do like that we've been doing like these one shots, and if not like a one session, then maybe one adventure, 2 or 3 sessions of an adventure. And I think I'd like to do that more. It's pretty cool to do that with Call of Cthulhu. I don't know if I want to dive into a campaign right away. We did like a Delta Green recently. We did Poker Night, and maybe we'll jump back into that. That'll be maybe a dual game, and of course, we can always have another person join in. Call of Cthulhu, the one we're doing with Andy Holmes, started out as a dual game with my wife Amy, and now we've added a few players, so it's now a pulp Call of Cthulhu game. And I have, since they're in Marseille, like, oh, maybe I can coax them into going across, well, doing some stuff in Europe, and then when 1937 or so, 39 rolls around, then doing the Blessed and the Blasphemous, which takes place in North Africa, specifically Morocco. But I don't know. It'd be cool to do a long-term Call of Cthulhu campaign, truth be told. And even the home group has mentioned, oh, Horror of the Orient Express would be fun to run. At least one person has. So I would like to run more D&D, whether that is a long-term, an old, going back to Pathfinder 1 or even 3.5. Like I said, I've always wanted to run City of the Spider Queen. I said that in one of my prompts in the RPGaDay, and I really have some 5th edition stuff I'd like to run. The other game I'd like to play more is Marvel. We did a few adventures of that. We actually posted a first session of the Coming of Kang, or what was it called? It's called the I can read from here, the Cataclysm of Kang, out for Marvel. And I just did get the X-Men book, and it's pretty cool. So maybe more Agent 45, or is it Agent 54, and Jubilee and Vampire Jubilee. That was a fun few sessions, and or maybe some more Marvel. So I have a lot of games I'd like to play. I really want to do something in Rifts. I don't whether it's probably going to be Savage Rifts, honestly. And I'd like to do some more Octoon Cthulhu or Cohorts Cthulhu. I think those are the games that are on the front of my mind right now. So yeah, if there's any games that you might suggest that I play that I played and I've liked in the past, give me a call. And I think I'll close here. I've been rambling-ish for about close to 40 minutes. A longer episode today, not the short and sweet of the RPGaDay 2024 stuff. So all the stuff is in the show notes. You can email me at gemologist@gmail.com. You can leave a voice message on my SpeakPipe account, and I will at least take the period off, so you can just copy paste. I don't know how to hyperlink, at least on the Spotify for podcasters. The easiest way to send me a message is through Discord, and just DM me your recorded message. But you could do that with email as well. So thank you so much for listening. This has been the Geomologist Presents. My wife Amy does the cover clip art. Good night and good roll. GM extraordinaire.